The final cut is a masterpiece, but the first draft is a war zone. This is Between the Frames. As You Wish. 3 simple words that became a cultural touchstone. But what if I told you the journey of The Princess Bride from page to screen was a 10-year odyssey so fraught with peril, it would make Wesley's own quest look like a walk in the park? This is the story of a script everyone loved, but no one knew how to make. A tale of near misses, bizarre casting choices, and a director who believed in a fairy tale when no one else would. Our story begins in 1973 with William Goldman, a 2-time Academy Award-winning screenwriter, known for gritty hits like Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid. He wrote The Princess Bride as a novel for his daughters, a clever pastiche of classic adventure stories, filled with swashbuckling heroes, dastardly villains, and a healthy dose of witty self-awareness. It was a book that simultaneously celebrated and satirized the genre. The film rights were snapped up almost immediately by 20th Century Fox for a hefty $500,000, with Goldman himself hired to write the screenplay. Everything seemed perfect. The studio even attached Richard Lester, the visionary director behind the Beatles' A Hard Day's Night, to helm the project. The stars were aligned for a quick and successful production. Except they weren't. Lester, for reasons that remain a bit murky, quietly departed the project to go work on The Three Musketeers. And just like that, The Princess Bride fell into the dreaded abyss known as development hell. For the next decade, Goldman's script became one of Hollywood's most famous unproduced screenplays. It bounced from studio to studio, from executive to executive. Everyone read it, everyone loved it, but no one had the courage to greenlight it. The central problem was its tone. Was it a comedy? An adventure? A romance? A satire? The truth was, it was all of those things at once, and that terrified studio heads. They didn't know how to market a film that couldn't be neatly placed in a box. The script was passed around to a who's who of directors. François Truffaut, the legendary French New Wave director, was briefly attached. Norman Jewison, director of Fiddler on the Roof, considered it. Even Robert Redford, Goldman's friend and the star of Butch Cassidy, circled the project for a time. But each time, for one reason or another, it fell apart. The project grew colder and colder, gathering dust on a studio shelf. Then, in the late 70s, one of the most bizarre chapters in this story began. A producer named Richard Stigwood, known for Saturday Night Fever, tried to revive the project, but with a strange twist. He envisioned it as a rock opera musical, with a progressive rock band Styx composing the score and potentially starring. Imagine Come Sail Away playing as Wesley storms the castle. It's an almost inconceivable concept today, but for a moment, it was a real possibility. During this period, the casting ideas were just as wild. For the role of the gentle giant Fezzik, the studio was dead set on one man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the time, he was a bodybuilding champion, not yet the global movie star he would become. Goldman even met with him. Another name floated for Fezzik was none other than the 7'4" Andre the Giant. The project was eventually auctioned by producer Norman Lear, but even his clout couldn't get the film made. He eventually lost the rights, and it seemed, once and for all, that The Princess Bride was destined to remain just a beloved book and a legendary unmade script. But fairy tales, as we know, often have a hero who arrives just in the nick of time. In this story, that hero was Rob Reiner. Fresh off the success of This Is Spinal Tap, Reiner was one of Hollywood's hottest young directors. The Princess Bride was his favorite book. He had been given it as a gift by his father, Carl Reiner, years earlier and had dreamed of directing it ever since. When he heard that the rights had lapsed, he and his producing partner Andrew Scheinman jumped at the chance. They used their industry capital and personal passion to finally, after a decade of false starts, secure the financing. The budget was a modest $16 million, but it was real. The movie was finally going to happen. Reiner understood what so many others had missed. The film's sincerity was just as important as its satire. The key was to play the romance and adventure completely straight, allowing the comedy to arise naturally from the characters and situations. His casting philosophy reflected this. He wasn't looking for big stars. He was looking for the perfect actors for the parts. For Wesley, he chose the then unknown Cary Elwes, whose classic good looks and earnest charm were perfect for the farm boy turned hero. For Buttercup, he found Robin Wright, an actress with a luminous and timeless beauty. The supporting cast was a masterclass in character acting. Mandy Patinkin, a Broadway star, was cast as the vengeance-seeking Inigo Montoya. Wallace Shawn, a playwright and character actor, became the scheming Vizzini. And for Fezzik, Reiner went back to one of the original ideas. By now, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a superstar, and his fee was far too high. So, Reiner tracked down Andre the Giant. Despite Andre's significant health problems and back pain, his gentle spirit and immense size made him the only person who could truly be Fezzik. Production began, but the curse of the Princess Bride wasn't quite broken. Filming the iconic sword fight between Wesley and Inigo was a monumental task. Elwes and Patinkin trained for months with Olympic fencers, learning to fight with both their right and left hands. They performed nearly the entire duel themselves, a feat of dedication that shines through on screen. But even with a passionate director and a perfect cast, the studio, 20th Century Fox, got cold feet. A new executive took over who didn't understand the film, didn't like the dailies, and tried to shut down production. He claimed the movie wasn't funny enough. Reiner had to use every bit of his leverage and show compiled scenes to convince the studio to let him finish his film. When The Princess Bride was released in 1987, it wasn't a blockbuster. It performed modestly at the box office, earning back its budget but not much more. The studio's fears about marketing had come true. They didn't know how to sell it, and audiences didn't quite know what to make of it. It seemed the movie might fade into relative obscurity. But then, a new kind of magic happened, the VHS tape. On home video, The Princess Bride found its audience. Families discovered it. College students quoted it. Word of mouth turned it from a box office disappointment into a beloved cult classic. People were able to rewatch it, catching new jokes and appreciating its clever layers. The film's heart, humor, and endlessly quotable lines, inconceivable, have fun storming the castle, my name is Inigo Montoya, became part of our shared cultural language. The story of making The Princess Bride is a testament to the power of persistence. It's a lesson that a unique vision, even one that defies easy categorization, is worth fighting for. William Goldman's script wasn't unfilmable. It was just waiting for a director brave enough to believe in it. The film's journey from development hell to timeless classic proves that sometimes, the stories that are the hardest to tell are the ones we end up needing the most. It's a real-life fairy tale about the magic of movie making, a story that, much like the film itself, has a very happy ending. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, Between the Frames.